WWE Survivor Series is this coming Saturday, November 29th, emanating from Petco Park in San Diego, California, streaming live on ESPN in the United States and on Netflix internationally. It is one of WWE's biggest PLEs of the year, one of the traditional Big Four events on the WWE calendar. With that in mind, could WWE Chief Content Officer Paul Triple H Levesque have some major surprises up his sleeve in the form of several high-profile major debuts? In this countdown video, we're going to let you know 5 possible names that could be set to make their WWE debut this coming Saturday at Survivor Series. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. And this weekend, this Saturday, is WWE Survivor Series, emanating from Petco Park in San Diego, California. It is one of WWE's traditional Big Four PLEs of the year. Of course, it's headlined by War Games matches for the men's and women's divisions. But could we see some high-profile arrivals in World Wrestling Entertainment this Saturday in the form of some major debuts? We're going to get into 5 possible major debuts that could take place at Survivor Series. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe. And let's begin with Joe Hendry. Now, I guess technically this isn't a WWE debut in the sense that Joe Hendry has appeared on a main roster PLE, the biggest one, that being WrestleMania earlier this year when he was the mystery opponent for Randy Orton. In addition to that, of course, he's appeared in Royal Rumble matches as well. But that was when he was still a TNA Wrestling contracted talent. That's not the case anymore. Joe Hendry's contract was set to expire at the end of this year with total non-stop action. But now that has changed. WWE seemingly have worked out a deal with TNA Wrestling whereby his contract has ended early, and the former TNA World Champion is now a full-time WWE superstar. He effectively already was anyway. We've seen Hendry appear on NXT for the longest time, pretty much, and even whilst he was still under contract to TNA Wrestling, he was effectively finished up with the company, and he was effectively only appearing on WWE NXT anyway. But, of course, this is Survivor Series, and this is one of WWE's biggest PLEs of the year. And as I mentioned, Joe Hendry is actually making a bit of a habit of appearing at WWE's biggest shows of the year, whether it be the Royal Rumble, whether it be WrestleMania, in a high-profile match against Randy Orton. So who's to say that now he's officially a WWE superstar, that he doesn't appear at Survivor Series in a main roster PLE match or segment or something like that? Now, as for where he would fit in, it's going to be quite difficult here. You know, I don't think he's going to be involved in the men's War Games match. Frankly, there's a lot of people already involved in that one. And the only other match potentially that he could appear in would be the Intercontinental Championship match, with John Cena defending his WWE Intercontinental Championship against Dirty Dominic Mysterio. And I guess that is possible in that regard. I mean, when it comes to Joe Hendry, and specifically when it comes to someone like John Cena's been open talking about his idea for his retirement run, and certainly these last few weeks to be heavily focused on NXT talent. He's been having NXT talent appear in his last time is now tournament. He's opened up saying that he wants the Saturday night's main event special, which of course is going to be housing his retirement match next month, to be main roster talents versus NXT talents. So who's to say that Joe Hendry doesn't appear at Survivor Series, even if it's in the form of a video package or something like that? Maybe when they're highlighting, you know, who could be appearing at this Saturday night's main event special next month, because of course we're not going to see Cena until then. This is John Cena's penultimate date, not only his penultimate match, but his penultimate date with WWE. So if that's the case, maybe WWE actually advertise NXT talent that are going to be appearing at Saturday night's main event. So that's when you say actually Joe Hendry being at Survivor Series, or at least appearing on the show, can't necessarily be ruled out. So Joe Hendry, maybe he'll be appearing at Survivor Series. Now, before we move on to the next number on this countdown video, a reminder, this video is brought to you in affiliation with in collaboration with all of our great affiliates. That includes NordVPN, which you can see right there. Black Friday's coming up this Friday. You can get yourself some fantastic deals. You can save yourself some money. And why do you want to get a VPN right now? Because Survivor Series is this weekend. And as I mentioned, in the United States, you'll have to be watching it on ESPN's new direct-to-consumer streaming service, but you don't have to. What if I told you you can watch all of your WWE content through one Netflix subscription? That's right. No ESPN, no USA Network, no CW, no Peacock, none of that. Just watch it all on Netflix or for free on YouTube. You can do just that. Get a VPN, change your location to an international territory like here in the UK or other ones around the world where this is the case. And through Netflix, you can watch Raw, SmackDown, NXT, main roster PLEs, including Survivor Series, as well as NXT PLEs. In addition to that, next month, that Saturday night's main event special I was talking about with John Cena's retirement match, you can watch it for free on YouTube. Over here in the UK, we watch Saturday night's main event for free on YouTube. So what are you waiting for? Save yourself some money, get a great Black Friday deal, get a VPN, use our QR code or our link right there. It's nordvpn.com/WN365. Save yourself some money and you can support this channel in the process. Your support is much appreciated. Next up for a possible debut at Survivor Series, this one is a bit far-fetched, I'll give you that one. What about Anna Jay? Now the reason I say about Anna Jay at the moment is because the AEW talent, reportedly, her contract with AEW is expiring very soon. Now is it expiring around the time of Survivor Series? Probably not, but it is believed to be expiring soon. It was a story that came courtesy of Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select. He reported that indeed her contract would be expiring soon. Now, it's unknown at this time if the two sides have started negotiations. Now, it was reported by Sapp in this same report that the expectation was that AEW, of course, would make an offer to keep her. She's been with AEW for a long time. She's been featured recently on AEW television, actually, as part of the Women's Tag Team Championship tournament. But her team, TJ, did just get eliminated, and that did surprise a few people because there was a feeling of not necessarily that they were favorites, but maybe they've been a tag team for quite some time and they looked particularly disappointed that they didn't win that tournament or they didn't get to a further stage. And certainly, there'd be strong interest from WWE. She's exactly what they look for nowadays, and she has improved certainly in the ring since she debuted with AEW several years ago. And according to Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select, in his report, he did state that Anna Jay herself is reportedly open to exploring any potential free agency offers. Now, she spent the majority of her career in AEW, but she did start training on the indies in 2024. She actually spent a brief amount of time in Stardom as well. So it's not as if she's, not aware of life outside of All Elite Wrestling or anything like that. So who's to say? Who's to say that she doesn't make a bit of a splash and maybe even something like a Survivor Series? There is a Women's War Games match. Don't know if she could be involved in that. There is the Women's World Championship match as well with Stephanie Vaquer defending the Women's World Championship against Nikki Bella. Nikki Bella's talking about the next generation, how the next generation is mocking her or what have you. Maybe it's a case whereby Nikki Bella gets a protege, someone from the next generation, and that next generation could be Anna Jay. Wouldn't that certainly be interesting? So I'm not sure if you can necessarily rule it out. I think it's highly unlikely. As of right now, I think she is still under contract to AEW, but this is pro wrestling. Anything's possible. Next up, technically, the Hardy Boys. Now you would say, Owen, come on. The Hardys, if they come back to WWE, this is not a debut. This is a return. Who's to say that maybe, just maybe, what if we see a situation where it's a version of the Hardys that we haven't seen before in WWE? What if we get fully the Broken Hardys in WWE? That could be quite interesting, could it not? Of course, the Hardys currently under contract to TNA Wrestling, currently the TNA World Tag Team Champions. They've been in WWE this year. In fact, they've held WWE Championships this year. They won the NXT Tag Team Championships, didn't hold them for very long, it must be said, but they've held WWE titles this year, and there is a general feeling, a general expectation, isn't there, that once their deals are up with TNA, because of the relationship with WWE, and just in general, I think even if that relationship didn't exist, they're on their way back to WWE. Matt Hardy's been very open and very vocal about it, saying that they want to go back there for one more run before they retire to go in and then to go into the Hall of Fame. So it's really, I think just a case of when. As for, what the is really going to look like for them to return to WWE. Their contracts should be up very soon, if not already, with TNA Wrestling. Reportedly, they did sign those contracts with TNA. What was it? It was around sort of December-ish time of last year. So they'd be pretty close to coming up now. And we spoke about earlier on Joe Hendry, because of the relationship with WWE, because of this working relationship that they've got going on, you can see a situation, I think, whereby, TNA allows these contracts to end a little bit early. And then because of that, they can make a bit of a surprise arrival, surprise debut in WWE. Now, who's to say actually they don't arrive in WWE with the TNA World Tag Team Championships, and who's to say it's not just completely the Broken Hardys? We never really got to see the Broken Hardys in WWE. We saw them recently at the Halloween Havoc show for NXT, and maybe we could see the debut of them as a tag team on the main roster. Yes, we saw Woken Matt Hardy, and that word's got a lot of different context nowadays, doesn't it? And of course, we never really got to see Brother Nero in WWE. So maybe that's the debut that we're referring to here for the Hardys. Next up, Jordynne Grace. Is this weekend at Survivor Series the time we're finally going to get Jordynne Grace officially on the main roster? When she arrived in WWE full-time earlier this year, there really wasn't there, this kind of expectation of she might even end up going straight to the main roster. If anything, it was a bit of a surprise that she was in NXT. And the general feeling, wasn't there, is that, she'll be in NXT, but she won't be in there for very long. Jordynne Grace is on main roster money. She's been on main roster money ever since she arrived in WWE. So frankly, she's one of the most expensive and one of the most highest paid talents currently in developmental. So it's a matter of time before she ends up on the main roster. Now, what that will look like, where that will look like, well, this is where it does get interesting, I think. You could see someone like Jordynne Grace having her official main roster debut in a match like a War Games match, a War Games scenario whereby she comes in for the heels and Becky Lynch has got a plan, and that plan maybe is back up in the form of the juggernaut Jordynne Grace, or as I mentioned earlier on, that same scenario that I kind of said about Anna Jay, which is very unlikely. Maybe it's a lot more likely with Nikki Bella and Stephanie Vaquer. You can actually see on the screen right there, these are highlights from their match earlier this year for the NXT Women's Championship, a match that Vaquer won. Vaquer very shortly was on the main roster, and she's had a completely meteoric rise ever since then, winning the Women's World Championship. Of course, she won that Evolution Battle Royal. She's really featured front and center for WWE nowadays, and they can play off that. They could have Jordynne Grace be the muscle, be the backup for someone like Nikki Bella, and she can talk about how she's been so frustrated because it was meant to be her that was getting all of these opportunities. It was meant to be her that comes in and doesn't spend long in NXT and then wins championships very, very quickly. It was meant to be her, and it wasn't her, and that's not fair. So Nikki Bella reached out to her, or she reached out to Nikki Bella and said, I can help you here. I can help you win the Women's World Championship, and I can help you stop Stephanie Vaquer. Maybe that's the direction that they go in, and it's a way for Nikki Bella to give a bit of a rub to Jordynne Grace for whatever that's worth in 2025, but also it's sort of a creative, high-profile way to have Jordynne Grace arrive as a full-time main roster WWE superstar. Certainly something to consider. And finally, Ethan Page. Now, Ethan Page in WWE, it's actually quite confusing as to really what Ethan Page's sort of status is in WWE right now, because he's not on the main roster, but he has appeared on the main roster, obviously, on episodes of SmackDown when Chelsea Green won the Women's United States Championship recently. He was, in the front row, and he was celebrating with Chelsea Green. They've got this kind of strange booking situation whereby Ethan Page is an NXT superstar who appears on AAA shows. He's one half of the AAA Mixed Tag Team Champions, and because of this association with Chelsea Green, has loosely appeared on the main roster without officially being called up. He's still the reigning NXT North American champion. And how this would work out, as of right now, Chelsea Green isn't booked for the show. But maybe Ethan Page is not going to have anything to do with Chelsea Green. As I've mentioned several times when I've been doing videos like this, talking about NXT call-ups, what have you, I think there's a real situation whereby you could have Ethan Page get called up and he could be a member of the Vision. Of course, the main event of Survivor Series War Games is most likely going to be this men's War Games match, where it's CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, the Usos, and Roman Reigns versus the Vision, that being Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed, Logan Paul, Drew McIntyre, and Brock Lesnar with Paul Heyman. The Vision still needs more members, and as far as we're concerned at the moment, Logan Paul isn't a member of the Vision. Drew McIntyre isn't a member of the Vision. Brock Lesnar certainly isn't a member of the Vision, so they need more members. And there have been reports for quite some time talking about how Ethan Page could get called up and he could be a new member of the Vision on the main roster. So if the heels are going to win that War Games main event, who's to say that Ethan Page doesn't help them do it? Certainly could be a possibility. So that could be an interesting way for Ethan Page to get called up to the main roster, particularly when nobody expects it, because they're expecting Ethan Page just to be occupied with Chelsea Green and what they're doing in AAA, SmackDown, and of course NXT. So there you go, guys. There are 5 possible major debuts that could take place at Survivor Series this weekend. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe. What are your thoughts? Which ones are more likely than others? Let me know your opinions, your hot takes, your predictions in the comment section below. It's going to be a massive weekend. We are going to be doing a Survivor Series watch along and a Survivor Series post show. We are going to have more top 5 videos related to Survivor Series as well as obviously we've got Dynamite and SmackDown coming up for major surprises that we'll be doing this week as well. Plus all your daily news videos. So your content is going to be absolutely jam-packed this week. Really appreciate everyone for tuning in as always, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.